Hi, welcome to this video. It's been a while since I made a video in the Leibniz series, and I wanted to keep the series going with a video every month, but it's not until fairly recently that I got a hold of a few new modules, including ERFURT and POCZDAM, and a few other modules that interact with the Leibniz system. So I need some time to get to know these modules, because with each added module the system becomes more and more confusing, and it's really like an exponential function, because how they behave really depends on how you chain them together. And the next in-depth video about the Leibniz series will be exactly about that. But I wanted to make this quick video to show you a few things that I discovered with ERFURT and POCZDAM, because I'm sure everyone is really curious, especially about POCZDAM. So let's just do a little jam with the modules. You'll see and hear in a few moments that I'm using whatever is coming out of the DAC output of DREZNO to change the pitch on VCO. I'm using Vortex by Cosmotronic, which is a complex oscillator. And after the jam I do a kind of in-depth explanation of what's going on and how I chained the modules together, because it can be a little bit confusing if you don't know what's happening. Once again, many thanks for the support I've been getting on this series, and of course many thanks to Lucas and all the people at Xaoc Devices for making this possible. So what I'm doing is I'm using whatever is coming out of the DAC of DREZNO to change the pitch of my oscillator. I have this system set up in such a way that right now lipsk is running into ERFURT. I'm using the internal clock on ERFURT, and what lipsk does is it changes how many increments are added to the clock every clock pulse. So when I set this to the first bit, only 1 bit is added every clock pulse, and you can change this number of bits that are added to the counter in ERFURT by selecting them on lipsk. Normalizations in ERFURT ensure that the clock is only used as the positive counter, and you can always add your own clock to the positive as well as the negative counter. And right now you can see that nothing is selected on lipsk, and then of course nothing will be added or subtracted from the counting system inside ERFURT. You can turn off this Leibniz clock, at which point it doesn't use the clock anymore and you need to send in your own clock. The internal clock is a very fast clock. You can also set the speed or divider of the clock. Right now, and for the jam as well, I was on the divide by 46,000. When I set this to the middle position, it's a divide by 1, so in this setting ERFURT counts at the speed of the clock, which is so fast that we can't see what's happening. I think the clock is 2 MHz, so it's counting through 256 steps at a rate of, I guess, 2 million times a second, so of course we won't be able to see what's happening. Now there's a divide by 256 as well, and at these rates it might start making a little more sense. When looking at the LEDs, you might see them flashing a little bit. When I make a more in-depth video about the operation of ERFURT, I will try to show you how you can use this to drive the wavetables on Jena, because these faster clock rates on ERFURT will enable you to use Jena at audio rates without having to use DREZNO. And to me this is really exciting, because until ERFURT you really needed DREZNO for anything inside the Leibniz subsystem to work at all, because you need something to drive the other modules. But with ERFURT you have yet another way to input data in the other expanders. But at the same time you can use it as an expander to the system as well. So more on this later. Then there's POCZDAM. Currently I'm only using POCZDAM partly. There's 2 inputs to POCZDAM and 2 outputs. I'm just using one of the outputs. So like I said, I'm using lipsk going into ERFURT, and this is going into input 2 on POCZDAM, and the input section of DREZNO is going into input 1 of POCZDAM. Let's unlink Jena, and the output of POCZDAM is going in Jena. So whatever input I select with POCZDAM using this button here, it's always going into Jena, and the output of Jena is connected to DREZNO, so I can extract the data from the DAC output. And it's because the way this is routed at the moment that I'm able to transpose my VCO by using the input side of DREZNO. And then when I press the link button on Jena, whatever information I send into the input side of DREZNO, just right now manually by controlling the offset, this will be converted by Jena through its lookup tables into something different. Alternatively, by selecting input 2, which is this section over here, and while Jena is not linked, you can see that ERFURT is just counting sort of at the speed that I set with lipsk. The output is coming out of DREZNO, and now this is controlling the pitch of my VCO. And when I choose another bit here, this adds more counts to the clock every time, so of course this will go faster. And now, because Jena is after POCZDAM, I can link it and use this information to convert it using the built-in lookup tables. In the gem I did a little bit more than this. I used one of the outputs, I don't remember exactly which one. I used one of the outputs of ERFURT to clock Moscow 2, which is in another case, and I used the output of this sequencer to send into the ADC side of DREZNO. And now when I switch back to input 1 on POCZDAM, you can hear that I'm now running a sequence through the system, back out of the DAC output into the volt-productive input on my VCO, which is, by the way, to the right of the screen. And now I can convert this sequence with Jena. And of course, you can choose different banks on Jena. Some will be more interesting than others. It really depends on what you're sending in and what you are looking for. And you can change the speed of the sequencer by selecting a different bit with lipsk, because this changes the speed of ERFURT, which is driving the sequencer. So all of this is interconnected in a really interesting way. I was also running some drums from the outputs of ERFURT, and there was a huge amount of spring reverb on there as well, through a lot of saturation from the mix BX from feedback modules. As I said, I was only just using one output of POCZDAM. There's another output that you can use. This interacts with all the other things that are going on the panel here. I haven't figured out how to operate POCZDAM that well yet. I will make videos about these two modules somewhere in the next few months, but please be patient because I will need time to figure them out. I hope you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching. Bye.